right. Happy to be back. How many of you are here for the first time? Okay, great. So today's talk, so just a note, I always use State of Vue as kind of the placeholder title, but today's talk is going to be about a lot of stuff. But let's start with Vue. I'm gonna skip the boring things about Vue, like the stats growing, like we're at like 9 million weekly downloads, or what percentage of Vue 3 usage is now. I think we can leave Vue 2 behind at this point, so I'm gonna stop mentioning that. The interesting thing about Vue going on, obviously, is Vapor mode. So we're not releasing Vapor mode today, but Vapor mode has been going on. We've been quiet about it, but it has, if you look at the minor branch, it's like 1,200 commits ahead of main right now. There's actually been a lot of work going into it by Edison, and it's almost ready. Some of the main things that's been shipped in the past few months in the beta, in the 3.6 beta, including type inference for Vapor components, VDOM teleport suspense in Vapor components, rendering Vapor slots in VDOM components, Vapor mode support in Vue router, JSX support via Vue JSX Vapor, and the 3.6, when you create Vue, run the create Vue scaffolder, you now get a 3.6 option that scaffolds the Vapor app out of the box. And Vapor mode will be coming very soon. And please be patient because I have been working on so many other things that I think the detour is worth it. So I did, I took the detour to work on Vite when I was working on Vue 3, which dragged on the Vue 3 release for a very long time. I think this time it'll also be worth it. So please be patient with us. And an interesting thing about the Vue ecosystem is we are seeing an interesting wave of Vue tooling renaissance. Many of you have probably been using the official Vue language tools for a very long time. It's been a particularly challenging topic because language tooling support has always been this really specialized field where you need to understand how LSPs work, you need to understand how Vue's compiler pipeline work, you need to also understand how TypeScript work, you need to plumb all these things together. But now with AI, this whole surface is actually collapsing really fast and becomes more manageable for people to explore new ideas. So first of all, the official Vue language tools has undergone major improvements in the past few months. It actually went from 300 plus open issues down to fewer than 30. So Johnson and Circle is here, I believe, has been working really, really hard on improving Vue language tools and closing issues. So I want to give a big shout out to the hard work. On the other fronts, we're seeing a few other community-led initiatives trying to reimagine what Vue tooling could be like. So one of these is the V's project. So if you're interested, check it out. It's by a Japanese Vue community member, now a team member, Ubuge, and he's been essentially writing this whole Rust-powered Vue toolchain, including the compiler, linter, formatter, type checker, and everything, on top of OXC. And there is also experimental effort in integrating the Vue-specific linting parts back into OXLint as a plugin. So definitely check it out. Crazy performance. This is currently still unofficial, but obviously we are keeping an eye on it and see how far this could be pushed. And then there's also Further, which is made by another team member, Pickaxe. So interestingly, these are like independent efforts, but kind of have overlapping, fields. This is, again, started as a language tools alternative implementation, but now is also evolving into a full compiler plus LSP implementation, again, written with Rust. And then there's also Golar, which is a TSGO-based embedded language support framework inspired by Volar. Volar is the lower-level framework that's powering Vue language tools made by Johnson. Originally, Volar was created to support Vue language tools, and now it's inspiring. Its architecture is inspiring Golar, which is TSGO-based, and Golar is also framework agnostic, so it has Vue support, which interestingly you can also try today, and it's made by Avred, who is the author of TSGO-Linked, which is the type-aware linting engine that OXLint is using for type-aware linting. So a lot of different efforts going on, and where we'll be heading for, say, native tooling for Vue, honestly, At this moment, it's a bit early to tell, but it's exciting that these things are happening. So I would say let them cook and see how far they can push this. And I think this little competition between these alternative explorations will end up benefiting all Vue users in the end. Okay, so that's it for Vue. I'm going to save more time for the things that we want to talk about later. But big announcement, Vite 8 is here. So we released it yesterday. So if you have not caught up with the news, please go read the blog post, the announcement. Vite 8 is probably the biggest milestone that we've hit in the history of Vite. It is the biggest architectural upgrade since Vite 2. So every major upgrade between 2 and 8 are incremental. There are no fundamental changes. It's just small breaking changes. But Vite 8, it does not have a lot of breaking changes. The fundamental change is internally, we have now completely replaced ES-build and rollup with rowdown. And rowdown is completely written from the ground up in Rust, powered by OXC, and has a unified pipeline for both dev and production builds. And you'll probably see at least 5 to 30 times faster builds when you upgrade to Vite 8. There shouldn't be any noticeable. So there is a migration guide, but for most apps, it should just literally be bumping the version, and you'll see faster builds. There are also a few notable features, built-in dev tools. This is for build only right now. And then there's built-in tsconfig path support, so you can drop the Vite plugin tsconfig paths if you're still using that. Built-in browser console forwarding for agents. If you use Vite with agents, you can now forward the browser console errors directly to your terminal, so your agents see them. And then there's the experimental bundled dev mode for extremely large projects that are suffering from slow initial page load if you have just way too many source modules. And there are more. So check out the details in the Vite 8 announcement blog post. We are really excited to have more people try it and let us know how it works for you. It's been in beta for quite a long time, so we're pretty confident it's going to be working well for most of your apps. So please upgrade. And another thing I want to mention is we are actually approaching the 5th anniversary of the Vite team creation. So Vite as a project wouldn't have been where it is today, thanks to the community and the team that contributed to it that made it what it is. Right? So Matthias, aka Patak, the cat, has been a very important force in pushing Vite to where it is today. So Matthias took a break from open source due to personal reasons, but he's now back, and we want to give him a warm welcome back with this anniversary celebration. So we actually have an event at vite.dev/live, March 19th at 3 p.m. UTC. So we're going to have an online sort of re-premiere of the documentary and have the team members all together and re-watching it. So feel free to come join us in celebrating this 5-year anniversary. Okay, so outside of Vite, a lot of things been going on at VoyZero as well. We shipped major improvements to OX-linked and OX format in the past few months. Most notably, the JS plugin alpha for OX-Link just landed. If you've been on the fence about moving to OX-Link because you have that, just this ES-Link plugin that you really, really need, but you couldn't use it in OX-Link, it most likely works now because the JS plugin, during this whole process, we have managed to reach 100% conformance on ESLint's own built-in rules. 99.9% conformance with the ESLint stylistic preset. So most known plugins should just work out of the box with OX-Link now. Obviously, we hope you to use JS plugins selectively so that it doesn't completely tank the performance, right? It's still faster than using ESLint with those plugins, but the fewer JS plugins you use, obviously, the faster it is. But that said, we have worked really hard to make OX-Link as compatible as possible to make migration easier, so you no longer have excuses now. Proper Vue support is still work in progress. This is the challenging part because the Vue ESLint plugin is not a typical ESLint plugin. It has its own pipeline in parsing Vue templates, instantiating the ASTs and all that. So we are exploring proper support for it, and it'll come later this year. But there is also the exploration on integrating the V's Vue linting part into OXLint as a WebAssembly plugin. And from what I can tell, UbiGate already has it working to some extent. So we're excited to see where this goes. OX format. It's now in beta. It actually reached beta last month. And we have also proudly reached 100% prettier conformance. In fact, in this whole process, we found multiple bugs in Prettier itself that we had to fix. That Prettier is like, have these tests ignored and just, and we're like, we need to fix these. So we are actually 100% more conformant to Prettier than Prettier itself, in a sense. And additional file format through Prettier itself. So OX format itself, the core is focused on JS and TS. But we also can format multiple other things by just invoking Prettier, which includes Vue files. We also ship native Tailwind class sorting, if that is something you rely on. Okay, so OXLane, OX format, and Vite 8. We also shipped Vitest 4.1, which bumps Vite dependency to Vite 8, right? So we have all these new things that we shipped, which means a new generation of tooling generally has arrived. So if this is what you've been using, say a year or two ago, right? You've probably been using like Webpack, TS-Sub, Jest, ESLint, Prettier. Now, we proudly say that VoyZero is providing you faster and better alternatives to all of them. You can use Vite, Vitest, TS-Down, OXLint, OX format. That's still a lot of configuration files, though, right? Can we do better? Well, you bet. The answer is yes. What if all you need is a single Vite config TS file? And that is what's possible with Vite+, which we are releasing today in public alpha, fully open source under MIT. So originally we had this plan to have a commercial license tied to it, but we have decided if we want to make JS developers really as productive as possible, which is the mission of the company, the only way to do it is to make it truly open source. So Vite+ is going to be free for everyone to use. Thank you. So obviously, Vite+ is more than just combining these things, individual pieces we built together. There's something more on top of it, right? So there's the obvious things like dev, build, linked format, test, and pack. These are just proxying to these existing tools that we have built. But there are things like VP Create, which is scaffolding, self-explanatory. And there is a few things that probably needs attention. So first, there's VP Check. This is a sort of a compound command that includes the format, linked, and type check all in one command. So it's also type checking through TSGo. So you are doing formatting, syntactic linting, type array linting, and type check all in the same command, in the same pass. And it'll report everything together. So you can also add --fix, which means the format will just be auto-formatted out of the go. So one command to do all the verification actually works really, really great when you're working with agents, because you no longer need to tell the agent to say, run format first, then linked, then type check. Just VP check, and there it is. Okay. So the other thing is Vite+ now has the capability of managing your Node.js versions. It has the capability to manage your package managers. It has the capability to run tasks in your monorepos and cache them. So, which means, it also can set up like Git commit hooks. It can also do, linked staged capabilities, which means you should be able to eliminate Husky linked staged turbo repo or NX or FNM. All these things can be now replaced by just VP, a single binary to do it all. So for the package manager part, we did not build a package manager ourselves because PNPM is excellent. So the VP install part is more like a core pack equivalent. It will recommend PNPM by default, and it will delegate the actual package manager tasks to PNPM, including workspace setup, etc. But it will you can easily specify the version of PNPM you want to use by just using the same package manager field that Corpack respects, right? A Node 26 is actually removing Corpack support, so good time to just use VP install if you have gotten used to just not caring about which package manager you're using, right? You can, of course, use NPM or Yarn or even Vault if you want. VP install is actually package manager agnostic, which means you can use it to manage the specific version of package manager you want. So if you have multiple projects you're juggling between, one is using PNPM, the other is using Yarn, you can just use VP install in all of them, and it'll automatically pick the right package manager with the right version to do the installations. VP-env is a Node.js version management thing. So the idea here is it respects .node version files or the engines field in your package.json. So when you cd into a directory, it'll just automatically use the right node version. So this feature is also, so when you install VP, we turn it on by default, but you can easily opt out by just saying VP-env off. It'll just leave it alone. It won't, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. But the idea here is when you have it on, every other command you run is guaranteed to be using the right node version that you have specified with. Also, when you do VP install, for example, VP install G, it'll remember the version of node that you installed something globally with, so that when you invoke that global binary, it's always invoked with the right node version that you installed with. And the nice thing is, even when you are switching between node versions locally, between projects, your global installations will still be there and still invoked with the right Node.js versions they were installed with, right? This is my personal pet peeve with FNM is every time I switch node versions, I lose all my global packages, which is really annoying. OK, so enough talk. Let's do some demo. I'm going to just run the VP help, right? So VP comes with this global binary, which means you need to install it with curl fs_sl https v.plus, pipe it into bash. And that's it. So I'm not going to run it here because I'm not sure about the network here. But this is how you install it. Once you install it, you will have VP. And if you just run VP, it'll actually give you this really nice interactive list of commands you can run with. So I'm just going to say create. I'm going to create a monorepo because that is the best thing to demo things with. Use everything recommended. It sets up, AI agent integrations, IDE integrations, set up pre-commit hooks that'll automatically do formatting and linting on your staged files. Please ignore this temporary TS down warning. We'll get rid of it. So VP demo. And if we look at the code, it's a pretty standard monorepo. So we have two directories. One is apps. So this is a website app. And one is the utils, which is a package internally. So the utils is a right now it's still using TS down, but actually it's just importing here. So so we will tweak it so that the config is just going to be there. And the idea is this package is a library. You intend to either use it internally or you want to publish it. So you will use VP pack to package it, generate the DTS files and all that. That's handled by TS down. This apps/website is an app. So it's a typical Vite app, right? So you will do VP dev, VP build, VP preview, and they live in the same thing, living in the same monorepo, and they can have dependencies. So apps/website can depend on package utils. So if I do VP env, I can say VP env which node. It'll tell me which node version I am using right now. This is the default. So if I come here and say add .node version, I want to use version 25. OK. If I reload this, VP env which node. Now it's using node 25. And why is this still 24? OK, sorry. But when you run VP run, it will be using node 25 for sure. OK, so when you do VP run, the nice part here, the DX, is it actually shows you all the scripts that's available in your mono repo. So you get to see these are root scripts, right? And these are package scripts. So you can selectively run them, and there's a fuzzy search. So I can do like build. I can see which package build I want to run. I can just run it from here. And notice that there's something here. So it's 0 cache hits, because we didn't enable cache at all. So I'm going to go vp run ready, which just runs everything. Type check, builds, everything. So it ran 6 tasks. And nothing is cache hit, because I didn't enable cache at all. So now I just do -- cache. Still no cache hit, because this is the run that actually caches stuff. Now if I do -- cache again, it's immediate. All cache hit, right? So there's VP run, there's VPM, there's, I think that's most of the things you would probably want to know on top of this, right? So, so this is V+, and we're excited to announce that V+ is going to be open source, and everyone can start using it. In fact, Vue 3.6, the minor branch, has fully migrated to V+. So check it out for a real-world case on how it's been working. And it's released today, fully open source on MIT. Just a single, curl and to install it on your system. So this is probably the fastest way for you to go from 0 to something working on a fresh system. So you don't even need to install Node.js or PNPM or anything. It just install VP and it'll manage all of them for you. And the docs is available at vplus.dev. It's live. Thank you. OK, so still have some time. So I'm going to do one more thing. So we've built all this tooling. We've built V+. We've built all the things you need from going from a fresh system to having a running Vite app. But there's still a lot of gap between having a Vite app and all the way having something live in the cloud, right? You still need to pick a framework. You still need to pick a deployment platform. Still need to pick a database, an ORM, authentication. What if you want to do queues, crons, all the stuff? It's right. The backend story has never been part of the Vite story. So today we're going to change that. Introducing Void, the Vite native deployment platform. So the acronym, this is just a joke, but the acronym is Vite Optimized Isomorphic Deploy. So what is Void, right? Is it just another deployment platform? So the idea is Void turns any Vite app into a truly full-stack app, deployed at the edge on Cloudflare workers with a single plugin. We actually got the Void package. So if you install Void, import the Void plugin, put it into your Vite config, and then voila, you have Void deploy. And it goes live at the edge. No Cloudflare account required, no Cloudflare infra knowledge required. And you just Void deploy, and it goes live at the edge. So what can you do with it, though? Like, what can you build with it? So here's how it works. It gives you 2 back-end full-stack capabilities with auto-infra provisioning. So if you import DB from void/DB, you get a D1 database, locally and remotely. Locally, it's simulated through Miniflare. Import KV, you get a KV namespace. Import storage, you get an R2 bucket. Import AI, you get Workers AI or bring your own keys. Import auth, you get full authentication, powered by BetterAuth. DB schema is default to Drizzle. So if you have a Drizzle schema, it powers the end-to-end type safety throughout the entire stack, source of truth. Migrations are auto-generated and auto-applied on deploy. Crons, queues, just create a directory, put the files in there, and they'll go live when you deploy. And everything, you do it locally, and then you void deploy, it goes live in the cloud. You don't even need to sign up for Cloudflare. You don't need to go to the dashboard or anything. It's all through the CLI. We will have a dashboard eventually, but right now, you don't really need a dashboard. It also, all of these things, right, they work with not just plain Vite apps, but also Vite-based meta frameworks. So the idea here is we have a happy path here that Vite-based meta frameworks will be able to enjoy these features as part of Void's platform SDK. So the Void plugin composes with Vite-based meta frameworks, which means if you use Nuxt, you can put Void plugin into the Nuxt Vite config, and you get these capabilities as well. If you use other frameworks like SpellKit or 10stack Start or whatever, as long as it's Vite-based, it will likely just compose with Void plugin, right? So you get to use the meta frameworks you want and enjoy these backend capabilities. So this SDK turns Vite-based meta frameworks into truly full-stack things, and with streamlined deployment. Void itself can also be used as framework on its own. It actually is a pretty capable meta framework in its own. It has a rendering framework agnostic pages routing system. So you can use Vue files as page components, or you can use TSX, or even solid files, spell files. You can have island components. You can have markdown pages as page components. It has ISR, which means you can just export, revalidate, and it'll just cache your page with a 60-second stay while revalidate header at the edge on Cloudflare CDN. It has SSG if you want to build locally, fully to static. So mixed rendering models, it gives you the ability to mix and match and choose the ideal deployment model. Of course, the platform also supports deploying pure static sites. In fact, the staging documentation, which I can just briefly show you right now, is a VPress site that's hosted on Void itself. So every Void app actually gets a void.app domain. So you probably want to grab that really fast once you're in. And then this is what it looks like when you build an actual app using Void's page routing system. So you can have a layout. The index view will go into the layouts component slot. Every page component has a corresponding server.ts file in which you have actions and loaders and actions. Both are fully typed, end-to-end typed. Loader return values flow into your component automatically as props. And components have typed action and use form helpers on the client to invoke server-side actions. Everything is driven by your Drizzle schema. So the Drizzle schema generates DB types, and you can also get action validators by inferring your validation schema from your Drizzle schema. Any standard schema compatible validators, Zod, Valibot, archetype, you name it, put it into your action handler, and you get fully typed client and server communication mutations and data loading. And the navigation model is actually inspired by Inertia. I don't know how many of you use Inertia with Laravel, but it's actually a pretty cool model that has never been seen in the JS world. So I'm pretty excited to show this to people. And let's do some demo. So if I go into, this is a kitchen sink app of, okay, so if you see here, I have AI, auth. So this is under pages, right? So every page, every Vue component is just a page. You just write the Vue code you already know. So this is an example of a loader. Define handler, this is just a helper to give you context. If you don't need any args, you don't even need it. So here I'm just returning a plain object. So this is just a list of AI models that's available. So this is a model that's available on Cloudflare's Workers AI. And these are the things you need to provide your own keys with. But the idea here is you're just returning some value here, and you can infer the return type from this handler. So infer props type of loader. It'll extract the props type. You just import that props type from your server component and then use it in define props. And that value becomes your props here, fully type safe. And how do you use AI features? You just use fetch. Fetch API AI. This is not using our typed fetch helper. We actually have a fully typed fetch helper too. So if you use this instead of import fetch from void client, this fetch, well, it's, the type is not fully working right now, I think. So this fetch should also be fully typed. Unfortunately, TSC is having some issues here, but it'll actually give you autocomplete on all the available API routes. But here, the AI server.ts is really just calling the endpoint, and that's it. Oh, so this one is actually not using the API we designed for, so I will need to pick another more interesting demo. So let's just look at more standard demos. So here's the database, right? So you have a special schema thing, which just points to the schema.ts file in your DB directory. And here we're just using standard Drizzle schema for SQLite because D1 is SQLite based. There's some syntax highlighting issues. So if you look at this, we have the nodes table, and we can infer an insertion schema using create insert schema from the Drizzle Validbot integration. And you can pass this insert schema into your action here, so it automatically do both type and runtime validation on your action calls here. So on the client side, db.vue, we have a use form helper from the void view adapter. And you can use form with named actions. And these are fully typed. And then the form helper, the delete form, so the form can be used in your normal forms very easily. And everything is fully typed and integrates with your backend code with minimal ceremony. Okay, so let's see what else. So there are queues, revalidate, env, etc. So I'm not going to go into all of them, but you get the idea. This is a kitchen sink app. It just shows what is possible, right? So if I invoke the void CLI here, it also has this really nice interactive thing. So it has a built-in MCP. So if you're using an agent with it, the MCP can do things like, MCP gives you the full doc search locally. The doc is shipped within the package itself. The NCP is also local. And the NCP also has a code mode endpoint, which talks to the deployment server. So you can say, what is the log from my last deployment? Why did it fail? And it'll fetch that for you. And then you have code generation. So you can generate a model, which will automatically generate a schema for you. So you can say void gen model posts title string, content string, etc. It'll generate the schema for you. The DB, you can do reset, seed, execute, migrate, etc. DB Studio will actually fire up a local Drizzle Studio instance for you to look at the SQLite database locally. You can also do void remote equals 1, set the env variable to 1, and you can actually develop locally with remote databases, actually on an already deployed app. And then custom domain is also supported, manage secrets, look at the project status, login, logout, etc. All the things you'd expect from a CLI. So if I say project status, right? So I had a lot of failed deployments because I've been fixing bugs, but this one is live, right? So let's do local development. So I'm going to start the local development here. Oops, why am I stuck in full screen? So 5136. So this is the kitchen sink app, right? Right now, all of this is local. So hello world. This is running against local SQLite database. There's KV, there's storage. Everything is simulated. AI is interesting because actually this is running through a proxy to talk to a real model that's running in the cloud, even locally. And then there's auth, fully powered by better auth, but it's running locally. So let's deploy it. I'm going to say void deploy. Let's hope this works. It was broken this morning, and I had to fix it on the spot, but let's see if it works. It runs the migrations for you if it hasn't been applied yet. And it'll atomically abort if it finds the migration failed. Oh, okay, it failed. But I have already had a successful deployment earlier, so here it is. It's running in the cloud. So this is actually a live void.app. And yeah, so this is running against real databases. So hello, world. And if I refresh it, it's there. So something that you can only demo when you're in the, so this is again, what model are you? Okay, so this is working. Revalidate. So this is the ISR feature that Next.js is actually, Vercel Next.js has. So the idea here is you visit it, it tells you this was last render time, and now it's cached. So for the next 60 seconds, it'll give you this stale cached response but it's already rendered the next one. So 60 seconds later, you'll get a refreshed timestamp. You can also manually revalidate it, and you get a new timestamp here. So that is Void. It gives you all of these features with just a single Vite plugin. And yeah, nothing else, really. It's just a Vite plugin. And you get all of this running in the cloud. Right now, this is still obviously, this is still very early because we started working on this only a short while ago. But we believe this is going to change the way you think about going from zero to something working in the cloud. And we want to combine this with V+. So V+ with Void allows you to go from a fresh machine to a working app with all these features in the cloud in under 5 minutes. And that is what we define as making JavaScript developers as productive as they can be. And check out V+ at vplus.dev. And you can also request to join private beta for Void at void.cloud. Thank you.